Okay, so today we're going to do circle weaving, and we're going to use a CD, just an old CD, as our loom, and we are going to use yarn, and this is how we do it. So you take your CD and you take your yarn, and I like to tie a knot in the end of my yarn to start so it doesn't all come unraveled when we go through all these steps. So you can go straight up through the middle of this CD, or you can go down through the middle. What's easier for you is just fine. Turn it over and tie a double knot on the back side. So we want to tie one. If you need your neighbor to put their finger there while you tie your knot so it's nice and tight, that's fine. Or you can ask one of the volunteers to help you. But try to tie that knot. We have this little extra monkey tail. We're just going to cut right off, get rid of it. So that should be on the back side. It doesn't matter where, as long as it's on the back and it's pretty tight. We're then going to take all this yarn and we're going to go around the CD a number of times. So I'm going to go down through this hole and we pull all the extra out, that hole. And we want all of these strands to come next to each other. So we're going to pull it through just like that and make it pretty tight. I use my thumb to hold it. And I'm going to go around again. We want to go around this CD an odd number of times. So you can do 9 times or 11 times. I wouldn't do more than 11. We're going to stick with 11 or less, but I do either 9 or 11 so that you have enough to go around. 5 would be too few. So we're just going to keep going around and around, and every time you go around, there is a lot of yarn on this. You want to pull it nice and snug so it doesn't slip when you are trying to weave. Now, this green yarn we're using is creating our warp strands. So we have our loom is the CD, and our warp strands are these green ones. And then these other colors you see here are going to be our weft strands, and that's what we go and around and around and around our CD with, and we make something that looks like a really cool kind of coaster made out of yarn. So it will end up looking something like this. So this is what we're going to make in class, and then in the end we may take them home at the end of the year, like we do with most of our projects, but there's a good chance that we're going to turn this into a wall hanging that will be up in the library or the office or somewhere for everyone to see all your awesome artwork. And it will definitely be up at the art show in June. So let's count how many strands we have. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, perfect. We have 11 strands. That's an odd number, and you need an odd number so that your weaving will go over and under opposite every time. If it was even number, you would have every strand would go over and it wouldn't hold together right. So we're just going to take all this extra and tie it really tight in the back. So we want to pull that as tight as we can so we don't have it slipping all over the place. And we're going to tie a double knot with that one too, just to make sure it doesn't all come undone. You might need to ask for some help from a volunteer with this one, or from your teacher. Okay, so now that's tied on the back nice and tight. You could cut that extra tail off if you didn't want green to be your first strand, but it's already tied on there, and we already have this end over here. So what I'm going to suggest is that we make our little knot on the end, clip that tail, and now that we have our loom, and you'll want to use this shiny rainbow side looking at you, you have your loom, you have your warp strands, and this becomes the beginning of your weft strands. Your weft strands are what are going to go around it. Now, if you're right-handed, you're going to want to come over to the left side, and if you're left-handed, you're going to go to the right side so you can see what you're doing. So when you do this, this is what you want to avoid. you never want to go from the outside across. You're always working from this middle hole and around, okay? So if you ever see it come across like this, you have to back it up. Okay, so I have this, I come up through the little hole in the middle, and that's the only time you'll have to do that. And now I'm gonna start my weaving by going in an over-under pattern. It's an A-B pattern. You go under one, and then you go over its next door neighbor, and then you go under the next one, and pull, and you go over the neighbor, and then you go under the next one, and over the neighbor, and you keep turning your CD over and over. The farther out you get, it gets a little bit easier because it's not all bunched up real tight here. So it will get easier as you go along. And as you go along, you can kind of pull your strand every 3 or 4. So if I go over, under, over, under, over, under, I can then pull through all of those, and it goes a little bit faster. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to weave all of this together so that you don't have to get bored watching this and you guys can get to work and do it, because that's more fun. I will work on it and then I will come back and show you what the final product is like and how we accomplish that part. So while you guys go through, the only thing you're going to notice is that this strand will run out, and you want to leave about 4 to 6 inches before you continue going under. Make sure you have about that much, and then you'll take your next strand. I stick them together and I just tie a little knot with both of them together like that. Then I would cut off that little monkey tail there, and I'd continue my weaving with my new color. So you guys can have about, I don't know, 3 to 6 different colors on here. And some of the yarn has different colors in it, so that's kind of fun too. So you guys will get to pick all that and do it, and I'll see you back here in just a minute. Okay, so here we are. I have finished all of my weaving. You guys can go all the way to the edge. You can go a little bit shorter. I just want you to try as much as you can do in the time that we have. If your warp strands have kind of bunched up, it's not a big deal. You can always even them out if you would like to, just by scooching them along at the end. Sometimes it helps as you go along to do that every now and then, but that makes it pretty even. And then I still have that tail. This tail over here, you want to leave, like I said before, a good 4 to 6 inches so that you have room to tie it off. So now if I went under this one, I'll go over this one, and when I go under this one, I'm gonna tie it off to it. So I'm gonna leave a little loop so that I have some room to get my finger in here and tie it. You might also want to ask for some help here. But we don't want it to be too loose, so you want to make sure that you pull it nice and tight towards the end. And then we will tie a knot just like that off to the warp strands. So now I have this big long tail. I can tuck it in there. I can cut it a little bit shorter, which is what I'm going to do. Then I'm just going to lift up gently on the edge and shove that knot right down under there and that little tail. And it's finished and no one will ever know. And then when we have all of yours together, all of this whole grade level, we'll have them all together and we'll connect them on top of each other. So you'll have another one here, and then there'll be another one here, and we'll make like a gigantic wall hanging out of all of them, and it should be really pretty and give lots of color. All right, guys, have fun. Good luck.